Hey, are you ready to make a deal? So that's where we need to go next is we need to be able to hook up and make these buttons actually work. And going into all of our game logic, we can set that up in the beginning where our init function is sitting and add in the event listener. So we've got some other event listeners. So we've got that close event listener. So how about we add the event listeners for the deal and no deal elements. So going back into our HTML, so now it's been a while since we looked at this, and we know that we've got accept and decline. So we've got a deal, we've got a no deal class. So let's use those and add them into our query selector to make a selection of those elements, and we can make a deal. So we're going to send them actually to the same place. And using the document query selector, we don't need to list these elements because we're not going to be making any real changes to them. So deal, all we need to do is make sure that we're setting up the add event listener. So add event listener and adding the event listener of a click and sending them over to a function that we're going to call make deal. So that's it. So let's do one more. And also for no deal, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to send them both over. And I'm going to also update when we get the first deal. So that will be at 15 and we'll have one at 14. So we're going to have the deals right away being offered to us. And that means that we also need to make the function in order to handle the making of the deal because we're sending them both over to the function making the deal. And we're going to pick up what the content of the element says in order to distinguish between the two. So I know we're sending it over to the same function, but we can pick up content that's contained on the button, and that's how we can differentiate between the two, so we can actually know what was hit. So within the console, taking the e target, so the event target, and text content that's contained on the event target, and that will tell us either that they've accepted it or they've declined the deal. Also, what we want to do is take the page modal and page modal 2, because this is a new action and we want to hide that. So do a display. We're going to hide the modal, and then we do some type of action. So we're going to check to see if this content says accept, and if it does, then we have an accept of the game. And actually at this point the game is pretty much over because they've accepted their case. And we can also have another option to see if it's so if they don't accept it, we're just going to move on to the gameplay because then they can just select more. And the other thing that we need to look for is the else if. And if this was the game last offer, so if our game last offer is true, that actually means that it's game over. So either one of these conditions, we need to run a function called end game. So let's add that function in as well. I'm just going to put it on top, and we'll have a placeholder for that because we're going to take care of that in another lesson. So end game, and this is just what we do to kind of reset the game, and this at this point the game is over. So either way, if they're on their last offer, it's game over, or if they accept, it's game over. So what we want to do is we want to run the end of the game and show what's remaining. So that's one of the things that we want to do. And we can run show the remaining within the end game. So we can do that in there. And also we're going to update the game in play. So both of those, we can put an end to both of those. And the only thing that is different is that I want to have a different pop-up message contained in there. So I have a different pop-up message. So again, using the pop-up message, pop-up modal that we had. And in this case, let's do a div and you earned. So we tell the player how much they've earned. So within the game offer, this is because they accepted the offer. So whatever offer was made, or the last offer was made, that's actually what the player is going to end up with. So we already have that value. So it can be tickets or dollars or however you're set up and whatever you're playing for. So this is going to have a pop-up that's going to have whatever tickets within this game. And then within the end game is going to be false because it's no longer true. So that's going to stop the game. It's going to halt the game from playing. And then we also want to show the remaining ones. So we want to basically open up the additional cases that are visible. So we can do that as well. And also this other one, if it's the last offer, so we might as well do that because we're setting up all of the content there. So we've got the pop-up was contained within your case. So you declined the offer, which means that you took whatever was remaining in the case. So your case has, and this is the case that you selected, tickets, and then you can also customize that message. And either way, the game is over. So either one of these, the game is over. And we need to still show the remaining. So we'll take care of that function in the next lesson. So let's try this game and see how it works. So again, you always need to play through it quite a few times usually in order to get a good feel for it. So select a case. So let's select number 1. Now select 0 cases. So right away it's going to give me an offer because I did set it to at 15. So we start with 16. I select 1. So that's why we get an offer right away, because we selected the 1 case already. So if I accept it, you earn 34 tickets in this game. And we should have the start button popping up again in order to start everything all over again. So page, so display block. So that will have the start button pop up again. So if I accept the offer, you earn 34, start, select a case. So select 0 cases. And so far, so good, looks pretty good. Select a case. And this time I'm going to decline the offer. We'll select 10 more cases. So remember, this is calculating this. And I'm just trying to click through really quickly. And I got the big one there. So right now the offer is 8. So it's based on what the values are remaining, or I can select 2 more cases. So I'm going to just decline that. And offer is 4. Offer number 4 is 5, or select 1 more case. So I decline it. And I got great job. So this is the last offer. So this is the testing of the last offer. So either we accept it and we're going to get 4, or we decline it and we find out your case has 1 tickets and we start again. We can start again. So all of the game functionality is there. We need to make a few minor tweaks and adjustments to make the gameplay a little bit more interesting. But for the most part, all of our gameplay is there. We need to just also make sure that the end of game is working properly. So a few minor tweaks and adjustments still to come. Go ahead and conclude the game and play through it a few times to make sure that everything is working as expected. And you're going to be ready to move on to the next lesson where we're going to make some tweaks and adjustments to the gameplay.